Nearly half of all dementia cases worldwide are preventable. Not 10%, not a quarter, nearly half. And the part that should truly make you pause, most individuals whose brains are already beginning to decline have absolutely no awareness it is happening. The 2024 report from the Lancet Commission identified 14 changeable risk factors behind 45% of all dementia cases globally. This means there are 14 areas in your life where the outcome can be different. Today, we will go through all of them, what they are, how they function in your body, and what you can realistically accomplish for each one. If clear, honest health information is what you seek, hit subscribe and leave a like. That assists this channel in reaching more people who need it. Dr. Sam Franklin is at 1,000 subscribers, and every single person who joins moves us closer. Hearing loss is the one nobody anticipates. Most people consider it an inconvenience, something you adapt to, something you manage. What the research from 2022 and 2023 indicates is different. Untreated hearing loss increases your risk of dementia by 1 and 1/2 times or more. That is a 50% increase in risk from one factor alone. Here is why it is so significant. Your brain is not a static organ. It operates on input. Neural connections develop and remain strong only when signals travel through them. When auditory input diminishes, the voices, the music, the ambient sounds of daily life, entire sections of your brain begin receiving less and less stimulation. And the brain's principle is straightforward. What is not utilized begins to shrink. Basic neuroscience. A second process is also at play here. When hearing becomes difficult, individuals start withdrawing from conversation. It becomes tiring, awkward, embarrassing. They venture out less, they call less, and social isolation, which we will revisit, is itself a distinct risk factor for dementia. One thing leads to another. This is a well-documented pattern in primary care. A patient stops engaging socially, the family assumes it is just aging, and years pass before anyone connects it back to untreated hearing. A hearing aid is not a symbol of age. It is a device that directly safeguards your brain. If you or someone you know has noticed hearing decline, that is worth discussing with an audiologist sooner rather than later. The same principle applies to your vision. The eyes account for approximately 80% of all sensory information your brain receives. When your vision deteriorates, your brain begins to lack input in precisely the same manner it does when hearing diminishes. And here is a specific figure worth considering. Prompt cataract surgery, the procedure to remove a clouded lens from the eye, reduces dementia risk by 29%, nearly a third. That is not a minor impact. That is the Lancet Commission citing a direct link between restoring visual input to the brain and protecting cognitive function. Two organs most people never associate. Your eyes and your brain are part of one system. Cataracts develop gradually. People adjust to seeing less well and start believing it is normal. It is not normal. It is a treatable condition. Getting your eyes checked regularly and taking action based on your findings is worth discussing with your ophthalmologist. Now, sleep. I want to address a misconception directly because I hear it constantly. People say, I sleep poorly, I wake up early, I toss and turn, I cannot fall asleep, but that is just what occurs when you get older. No, poor sleep is not a typical feature of aging. It is an issue that can and should be addressed at any age. And it turns out to be one of the most crucial processes occurring within your brain each night. During sleep, particularly the deep stages, your brain activates what scientists refer to as the glymphatic system. Think of it as the brain's overnight cleaning service. This system clears out metabolic waste products that gather in brain tissue during the day. Among these waste products are tau protein and amyloid protein. These are the very same proteins whose abnormal accumulation is the defining characteristic of Alzheimer's disease. Amyloid plaques and tau tangles. That is what Alzheimer's looks like under a microscope. The glymphatic system's function is to prevent that buildup, and it can only perform its task when you are asleep. When sleep is poor or insufficient, that cleaning process does not complete fully. The toxic proteins remain, and each interrupted night adds a little more to the accumulation. Research conducted on living human subjects, not solely animal models, has demonstrated that even a single night of sleeplessness significantly disrupts tau and amyloid metabolism. One night. Now imagine someone who has slept poorly for a decade. Their brain has not been adequately cleared for years. When Alzheimer's is diagnosed 2 decades later, no one traces it back to the sleepless nights in their 50s. However, the connection is real. You already understand what a bad night does to your thinking. The heavy head, the slow speech, the short temper. That is not just fatigue. That is your brain signaling it did not finish the cleansing cycle. There is also the issue of phone use before bed. Blue light from screens affects a structure in the brain called the suprachiasmatic nucleus, the body's internal clock, which dictates when you feel alert and when you feel sleepy. Blue light signals that clock that it is daytime. The brain responds by reducing melatonin, the hormone that initiates sleep. No melatonin, no smooth transition into sleep. Additionally, anxiety-inducing content in news feeds triggers a stress response. Cortisol levels rise, the sympathetic nervous system becomes active, and instead of winding down, your brain enters a threat assessment mode. This fuels something called rumination, a cycle where the mind repeatedly replays the same thoughts, the same worries, the same what-ifs. And the cycle does not cease simply because your eyes are closed. What truly assists? Research supports putting your phone away at least 45 to 60 minutes before sleep. Progressive muscle relaxation, gradually releasing tension from your face to your feet, one muscle group at a time, has a proven calming effect. Breathing with a long exhale, inhale for 4 counts, exhale for 8. A longer exhale activates the parasympathetic nervous system, the system responsible for rest and tranquility. Begin with your face, relax your jaw, release the tension in your cheeks, allow your tongue to fall from the roof of your mouth. The body follows. Chronic insomnia with an anxiety component is treatable and worth discussing with a doctor or a behavioral health specialist rather than simply accepting it. Now, muscles. This surprises some people. Starting around age 30 to 35, the body naturally begins losing muscle mass. After 50, that process speeds up to somewhere between 1 and 2% of muscle mass annually. By age 80, some individuals have lost up to half of their peak muscle tissue. Most people associate this with physical strength or appearance. Almost no one connects it to the brain, but they should. Muscles are an endocrine organ, meaning they produce and release hormones and signaling molecules called myokines. These molecules directly impact brain function, promote the growth of new neurons, and regulate inflammation throughout the body. Less muscle means fewer myokines, reduced blood flow to the brain, and a higher baseline level of systemic inflammation. A study published in 2025 confirmed that sarcopenia, the medical term for age-related muscle loss, is a causal factor in cognitive decline, and that physical activity is the direct link in that relationship. In simpler terms, muscles actively protect your brain. Muscle loss actively works against it. A sedentary lifestyle increases dementia risk by 1 and 1/2 times. You do not need a gym membership for this. 10 minutes of morning movement daily or 2 30-minute brisk walks weekly is already sufficient to meaningfully lower the risk of cognitive decline, according to research. The key word is consistency. Occasional intense exercise is far less effective than daily moderate movement. It does not require equipment or a specific location. It only requires regularity. Balance is another early indicator that most people misinterpret. Slight unsteadiness when walking is attributed to blood pressure, to poor circulation, to something vascular. But your balance is partly controlled by the cerebellum and the frontal lobes, the same brain regions involved in planning and coordination. And these areas respond early to the types of changes that precede cognitive decline. Impaired balance and declining cognitive function often progress together. That link is well established in neurological literature. Try this. Stand near a wall or a chair for support. Lift one foot off the floor and hold it for 10 seconds. Switch sides. If you cannot remain steady for 10 seconds on either foot, that is an indicator worth noting. The vestibular system and cerebellum respond well to training, and balance exercises are simple, can be done at home, and produce noticeable improvement improvement within weeks. The more difficult changes to detect are those occurring internally, invisible, persistent, slow, visceral fat. This is not the fat you can grasp under your skin. It is the fat surrounding your internal organs, your liver, your intestines, your pancreas. Externally, a person may appear slightly overweight or have a rounded midsection, but this internal fat is metabolically active in a harmful way. It continually releases pro-inflammatory molecules, generating what researchers call chronic low-grade inflammation, a slow, silent, symptom-free burn that produces no fever, causes no pain, and goes entirely unnoticed. But over years, it damages blood vessels and nerve cells, including neurons in the brain. Visceral fat also drives insulin resistance, a condition where the body's cells cease responding properly to insulin. Insulin is not solely about blood sugar. It plays a direct role in brain function, protecting neurons and regulating signal transmission between brain cells. When insulin resistance develops, the brain is also affected. Some researchers have even termed Alzheimer's disease type 3 diabetes. The metabolic connection between impaired glucose processing and cognitive decline is that strong. The Lancet Commission's 2024 report added high LDL cholesterol, the unfavorable cholesterol, to the official list of dementia risk factors for the first time. Monitor your waistline. Get your cholesterol checked. This is not about appearance. It is about the state of your brain in 20 years. Now, the early warning signs, things to observe. In yourself and in those you care about. Speech is one of the earliest and most dependable indicators of cognitive change. When neurodegeneration begins, language starts to simplify even before the person notices it themselves. Words that previously came easily now require a pause. Sentences become shorter, complex phrasing vanishes. There is a documented clinical pattern where a person's vocabulary gradually narrows over months, and those around them simply adjust to it without recognizing it as a change. If you or someone you love is taking longer to find words, trailing off mid-sentence, or speaking in noticeably simpler terms than a year ago, that is worth a discussion with a neurologist. Memory lapses follow, but the type matters. Walking into a room and forgetting why you entered, that happens to everyone. But frequently forgetting what you said 5 minutes prior, regularly losing the names of people you know well, confusing the order of recent events, these are different. Clinically, these early-stage changes are termed mild cognitive impairment or subjective cognitive decline. Neither is dementia, but both represent the period during which intervention is most effective. Spatial navigation is another. GPS has replaced one of the brain's most demanding functions. The hippocampus, the brain structure most severely affected first by Alzheimer's, is deeply involved in spatial memory and navigation. When you consistently rely on your phone for navigation, the hippocampus stops receiving that exercise. Try driving to a familiar place without GPS. Navigate from memory. This is not nostalgia. It is deliberate practice for a brain region you wish to keep sharp. If you desire an objective assessment of your current cognitive function, the SAGE test, the self-administered Gerocognitive examination is a standardized self-assessment tool available online that you can complete at home and interpret yourself. It can help you determine if a neurology appointment is appropriate right now or if things are within the normal range. It is a starting point, not a substitute for a specialist who can detect subtle changes the test might miss. So, what can you actually do to protect your brain? Not passively hope for, but actively do. Move daily, even for 10 minutes. Physical activity stimulates neurogenesis, the creation of new brain cells. It enhances blood flow to the brain. The myokines released by active muscles directly support neural health. Brains in inactive bodies diminish faster. That is not a fear tactic. It is documented in neuroimaging research. Nurture your social connections. The Harvard study of adult development, one of the longest-running studies in medical history, spanning nearly 80 years, found that the quality of social relationships is among the most significant predictors of brain health and lifespan. Not the number of contacts in your phone, but the depth, warmth, and regularity of human connection. Individuals with rich social lives maintain cognitive function significantly longer, debate ideas, attend plays and galleries, engage in genuine conversations. These are all forms of brain exercise. Continue learning. Low educational attainment increases dementia risk by 1.6 times, but this is not about degrees. It is about whether you keep learning throughout your life. The brain possesses neuroplasticity, the capacity to form new connections in response to new experiences, learning a second language, acquiring a musical instrument, reading challenging literature. One study indicated that reading serious fiction for 2 months produced measurable structural changes in the brain in a direction of health. Not passive scrolling, not content that only scratches the surface. Literature that demands attention, empathy, and analysis. Read aloud. It activates multiple brain regions simultaneously. Write by hand. Fine motor activities like writing, drawing, or knitting stimulate large areas of the motor cortex. This is not a hobby, it is neuroprotection. Address your emotional well-being. Depression is not a personality trait or a temporary phase. It is a medical condition, and it raises dementia risk by 2.2 times. The mechanism is well understood. Depression elevates inflammatory markers in the blood and brain, disrupts neurogenesis, and measurably reduces the volume of the hippocampus. Depression and cognitive decline mutually reinforce each other. Leaving depression untreated harms both your emotional life and your cognitive future simultaneously. Persistent low mood, loss of interest in activities you once enjoyed, chronic fatigue, disturbed sleep, these are worth discussing with a healthcare provider. Depression is treatable. Early treatment safeguards the brain. Stop smoking, cease drinking. Smoking raises dementia risk by 1.2 times, alcohol by 1.3 times. And I wish to focus for a moment on alcohol specifically because one of the most enduring myths in health culture is still circulating. A glass of red wine before bed is beneficial for your heart. A small amount of cognac is practically medicinal. This is not medicine. It is a narrative the alcohol industry worked very hard to instill in the public consciousness. The current stance of evidence-based medicine is unequivocal. There is no safe amount of alcohol. Every quantity causes harm. The only question is how much and how quickly. For the brain in particular, regular consumption, even moderate, speeds up tissue atrophy and disrupts the sleep patterns on which the glymphatic system relies. The glass before bed for relaxation is in reality a double blow against the brain. There is a well-documented case from clinical neurology that illustrates how these factors interact. A man in his late 50s, referred to as James in the records, presented with mild word-finding difficulties and occasional disorientation when driving familiar routes. He slept poorly, had a sedentary desk job, consumed 2 glasses of wine nightly, and had untreated mild hearing loss. Each factor individually was manageable. Combined, they had been quietly accumulating for years. His neurologist observed that addressing even 3 of these concurrently resulted in measurable cognitive stabilization within 18 months. Not reversal, but stabilization. But that is the point. Early intervention alters the trajectory. Timing is more critical than most people realize. All of these risk factors carry different importance at different ages. After 40, the rate of age-related brain changes begins to accelerate. After 50, dementia risk roughly doubles every 5 years. The sooner you begin addressing these factors, the greater the protective effect, which leads to a question that genuinely influences the answer I would provide. How old are you? Write it in the comments. Age is not merely a number here. It determines which risk factors are most urgent for you currently, and it assists me in creating content that speaks directly to your current situation. So, here is the summary of what we discussed. 45% of dementia cases are preventable, and the evidence supporting that figure is robust. Get your hearing and vision checked and take action based on your findings. Do not delay. Improve your sleep. The phone stays out of the bedroom. Maintain a consistent schedule, and chronic insomnia is worth treating. Move daily. 10 minutes is a realistic minimum, and it matters. Manage your weight and waistline and have your cholesterol checked. Stay socially connected. Keep learning. Read actual books. Take your emotional health seriously. Depression is not a personality characteristic. It is a treatable condition that directly impacts your brain. Stop smoking, eliminate alcohol, and if you have noticed changes in your speech, your memory, or your spatial orientation, take the SAGE test and schedule an appointment with a neurologist. Early action is always preferable to late. If this provided you with something valuable today, subscribe and leave a like. It directly helps this channel reach 1,000 subscribers. Share this with someone in your life who would benefit from knowing any of this.